Yo, what's up? What's up? Oh man, Rom's main thing. Yeah, I'm talking a little bit about myself today. Well, myself and just greater my mission, because sometimes people trying to figure out my end game. I'm gonna tell you what, the things I do for my own life is more about having control and sovereignty. Having control over what I do, where I have to do, mainly control over my time. That's always been my main thing. Like the thing, just coming from my background and being in a dysfunctional situation as a young child, I'm just like, this is crazy. Just the thought of going through life and not having like some type of autonomy and having a ability to make a choice. You know what I mean? And that's actually the main thing I teach. If somebody were to read my books, Nice Guys and Players and Sexual Chemistry, or even Meeting Attractive Women, my main thing is always being having options. Now, a lot of people who watch this channel, they might think, if they just watch this channel, they might think that's just autonomy with women, but that's an option because think about it. How many dudes out here dealing with some woman that they would much prefer not to deal with? Think about it. They don't want to deal, they just dealing with her just because she's there, but, she got some issues or something. But see, that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. Let me let him go. But another part of it is having control over how you're making money and stuff. That's why I have a business channel. Many men can't really be who they want because their voice isn't free. It's funny, a lot of guys call themselves alpha, but they working for somebody. How can you be alpha when and I'm just going to be real with it. Sorry if I offend somebody. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. But how can you call yourself alpha, but somebody else has control over your livelihood, your lifestyle, and everything? So that's why I promote entrepreneurship. My ultimate thing, everybody would have like a business and then they would just deal with another person, on equal business terms. But I know that's not realistic for most people. But then again, what I talk about ain't for most people. Because as one of my inner circle would say, and other people would say, most people ain't going to do better. At best, they're gonna sit and talk shit about what's going on in life, but they ain't gonna be motivated to do better. And then also at my Deep Thought channel, that main thing is to get you to think. Most people go through life, they just follow. They follow the path of the herd. They follow the institutions and clothing styles and whatever of people who've gone before them. The herd that's gone before them. So my main thing is on those levels. Those thinking economically with women. And the women part is important because one thing, and this is something I might discuss more on my Deep Thought channel, everybody relationship wise, you still got to deal with people, period. No man is an island. And half the people you got to deal with are women. So if you can deal with women, not just for a sexual basis, in fact, that's kind of easy when you think about it. And I know I've said that before. Let me go off on a tangent. It really is. A lot of dudes just think too hard about shit. And when I say think too hard, they see a woman, she fine. They thinking A, B, if I do this, oh, she won't want me. I'm like, man, just go approach. That's what I mean. But, my main thing has always been about control. Like if people somebody come back to me and tell me that they have, they started a business, they with a woman they want to be with, not one they settle for, not one who just happen to be there persistent and stuff, but somebody who they want to be with, and they basically overall enjoying their life, then my job is done. Now I've talked about testimonies before that people have given me, that's mainly with women, but I've also gotten a lot of testimonies from dudes who've started businesses. And as I said before when I talked about that makes me happy. Every time somebody got their hustle going or started something, living their dreams, that's it. Because that's always been my thing. Trust me, I would never wish a situation where you under somebody else's control and their head isn't right. So that's always been my thing. Always having, if not outright control, leverage. Now, I know I've said I've worked on 1,000 jobs, but I'm actually professionally trained as a negotiator. And one thing with negotiation, for it to work, you got to have something that the other side wants. So you look at the other side and say whatever. So I always put myself in a position, not just with women, but in business, or even just getting a job when I had to get a job, put myself in a position where I can say to them, hey, you need me. Like, there was one job I was on, I started out minimum wage. I assessed the situation in 2 weeks. They gave me a raise because I said, hey, you know, I'm working something else. This was a part-time job at the time. And I said, look, I got something else that's paying more money. All right. So y'all want me here more? What y'all going to do for me? Boom. More money right away. So, I mean, but, you know, I had that option. Because if they didn't go for it, I had the option just to say, oh, okay, I'll just stay on the job I already got anyway. You know, that's why, yeah, I mean, and that's why you want to get as much knowledge too. You know, that's what I've always said with men especially. Women can too, but men especially need to have knowledge of something that they can control. And I would go a little bit further. Like, it's not always going to be about money, but if you can get something that you can exchange your knowledge of or service of for money, or product of for money, shoot, that's even more popular. Where am I on time? All right, so that's the thing. But see, what I see out here is many men not really going for control. Many men really just following. Even in this YouTube space, I see a lot of fanboys, but I'm like, well, are you getting out there doing it for yourself? You know, don't worry about me. I'm just putting a bug in your ear ultimately. I'm just putting a bug in your ear. Where are you going ultimately with your stuff? What are you doing? You know? That's the key. That's what you got to be working on. You got to be working on control. You got to say, okay, Ron put a bug in my ear. Let me do my thing. You know, I don't need clones or anything. I'm just here to inspire, to motivate. In fact, some people call me a dating coach. Some have called me a life coach. I'm just really just a motivator to bring out what's already in you. That's what any teacher, anybody telling you something should be doing. You know, I remember when I was in college, I had a teacher. He actually said, he told us, he said, rather than regurgitate stuff to him or don't give him anything, and just write down in a college, explain why you can't answer this question and I'll give you credit. Or just say you can't give a college level answer to this question or something. And I had other teachers, shoot, they get mad if you regurgitated something because they wanted you to think. They wanted to figure out, okay, you done learned the information. What are you doing with it? So that's my main thing. So when I see some dudes come back and they say, hey, I got this business, or I'm in school to do this, or I got, I'm doing well in my life. I got some control. That's when I'm like, yeah, you know? Yeah, so... I mean, that's it. And, you know, just to get there, it's not of course, it's not an easy thing. We live in a culture. We live in a culture that's constantly about trying to get you to, like, do what they want you to do, to control you, to manage you. I mean, the elite, whatever you want to call them, they not really even controlling you, but they erect fences. They erect fences in your mind to manage you. And, you know, sometimes you got to fight that. And even then, you can still manipulate it. Like, it's funny, a lot of guys call themselves red pill, but, I mean, I've said before what I would really consider red pill, but if you really red pill, that means you can do what those red pill people were doing in the movie Matrix. They were jumping around. Everybody, I mean, Neo was doing it to a great degree. But, you know, you want to jump around and, you know, be able to jump across buildings and be faster and everything. Basically, you need to be able to manipulate the environment. That's when you really red pill, in my opinion. I mean, really red pill. You can do stuff. You can see it. Like people talk about, they say they know female nature. That's usually what red pill is. But I'm like, okay, so how you making it work for you? That's control right there. Because if you're a slave to it, or you helpless before it, I mean, what's the point? And that's everything I tell you. Even, I talk about working out and the body shit. Everything a man does is through the body. Getting your mind right. The more knowledge you have, the better the more ideas you have. And then the more, like, when you come across situations, you can pull from your information bank. And then even beyond that, just having the ability to think creatively. Because we all run into situations we might not have seen before. So that's what it's all about. That's my main thing. So anyway, y'all have a good weekend. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.